welcome back again. We're back. My name is Gladys, in case you're new here.
This is Hesbon.
Yeah, so today we wanted to actually film and talk about the accident, the 2019 accident that happened to us. Yeah. So
This is something actually we've been planning for to talk about in a while. I know things have happened here and there, but it's kind of a long part, but we will try to summarize it as much as possible. Most of you don't know anything about this part, and there are those of you who have been with us through the journey, how it started. It was back in May 2019 when I lost my dad back in Kenya, and we had to travel in June because Dad passed May 28th,
yeah, we
and we traveled I think the 6th of June. Dad's funeral was on the 14th of June 2019. May you rest in peace, Papa. After that, we spent another 2 weeks in Kenya, and then we were to come back here in the US, I think the 2nd of July.
July 2nd.
Yes. So we had traveled to her home in Nakuru to go say goodbye to her family before we went back to my up country to go also say goodbye to my family before we travel back to the city so that we can be able to travel back to the US. In the process, while you're on the road to Kisii, actually it was in the middle of the day. Nothing, the road was very clear. Nothing was, off. We were just having a nice ride. Actually, before I even get there, for the first time, that very day, our 8-year-old now, who's about 9, he wanted to ask me to have him sit in the front seat.
Yeah.
We understand, especially here in the US, kids at that age, they cannot sit in the front seat. They have to sit in the back seat. But, in Kenya, we really don't have that rules. It's about you to decide to see if you want to do it or not. So we opted, I was hesitant, but I said, why not? Come sit with me so you can keep me company as I'm driving. Her and our 5-year-old now, he was like 2.
It was almost 3 years.
He was still breastfeeding at that time, and they were sitting in the back with her. As we are driving, he was really crying.
In his car seat, and I took him off the car seat to breastfeed him so I can keep quiet. And on the way, he fell asleep, and I fell asleep too. But on our way, the accident happened on Kericho Nakuru highway. Yeah, we're going to Kisii.
We're going to Kisii.
Yeah, so we usually like on the road they usually like potatoes, and I told him that we'll buy potatoes and take them to Mom. So yeah, he was like, oh babe. When I was after breastfeeding, I fell asleep, and I think he passed the people, the roadsiders, where we were supposed to buy the potatoes, and it was like, oh babe, I forgot that we did not buy the potatoes. And I told him, it's okay, we'll keep going, we'll find them.
We'll find more after Kericho.
Yeah.
So during all that time, me and my 5-year-old, he was 5 at that time, we were just chatting. He's a very active little guy. So he was keeping me company. We were just chatting and all that.
For the first time I fell asleep actually. And usually I don't sleep when we are traveling.
So there were only 2 people who were awake in this car. Me as the driver and my 5-year-old. Because he saw everything, how it happened. And I'm glad actually, not that I'm glad the accident happened, but I'm glad that it happened during the day. Because what happened is when we got to a certain point, the vehicle felt like it lost every control that it has. The steering wheel did not feel right. All of a sudden I can't even step on the brakes. Nothing was really working, and this was happening in like a flash.
Yeah, and there was nobody on the road. There was nobody ahead of us. There was nobody behind.
it wasn't like I was speeding. That's the weird part. It's not like I was speeding or anything. And all of a sudden, my car hit a 180 in the middle of the road. Nothing was happening. I'm trying to look around like what's going on. The brakes, nothing. And you know, everything was happening so fast. My son is screaming now like what's happening. As it hit 180, it faced where we were coming from and it started going in reverse. And mind you, this car is still on drive. But the fact that it's going in reverse and went straight into a ditch from the back seat. So the trunk was the first in the trunk, in the ditch. I was like, am I dreaming? Because the back was smashed in. I turned around. I realized that my little guy in the back is nowhere to be seen. My wife, her head is literally over my head. The reason why that happened is the whole trunk had been smashed forward. That's why she was squeezed in that she almost got thrown into the front seat. I looked around, I'm like, where's the baby? He's nowhere to be seen. And my worst fears were like, did my little guy get smashed in?
We lost him. My thought was like, when he looked back and was like, babe, are you okay? Where's the baby?
It was a shock.
His first question, where's the baby? Are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm not okay. And so he started screaming and I couldn't even scream. And yeah, so I thought the first thought that came into my head is that we had lost the baby. Like that was the end. Actually, guys, this is the first time he doesn't like talking about this story. At least me, I usually talk about it with some of you guys.
It's my worst nightmare that I hate to remember actually. It's a thing I have tried like not even to think, because at the moment I was in that morning session, I'm trying to mourn my dad here, and then now all of a sudden I'm here fighting for my family. We were all in that car. Thank God all of a sudden somebody screams out, here is the baby, from outside.
They took us out first and then...
No, before actually, because I was screaming, they wanted to pull me out, but I'm like, no, where's my baby? Then that's when somebody screamed like, hey, the baby's here, he's okay. He had been thrown out the window. After they crashed, the back windows were shattered down and the baby was thrown out the window, fell on the side of the road. Thank God he missed the concrete by this much. No scratch at him, nothing. This was an angel who had come down and literally guided this little guy onto the grass. And somebody picked him up, he was crying.
On the other side of the road.
He was just sitting there. Thank God it was like a small marketplace. So the people came, rushed in, pulled us out. Actually, they pulled me out first. And, got my other son. Now I'm here, like, still trying to make sure that I see my baby. But I'm also, like, I'm panicking here. Is my baby okay? Is my wife okay? At least I could see my 5-year-old was okay. So now I'm worried about the other two. Myself, I think the belt had squeezed me so hard on my waist area. And as I'm fighting out here, I can't even stand straight. I was struggling because I felt like my body was cut in half. They were trying to hold me up because they realized I was not stable. They had stopped a certain vehicle and, pulled my wife out. They put us all in that car and they
were like, if we take you guys to, so they were like, let's get in and we take you to the hospital. They were like, if we take you guys to the general hospital, you won't be attended to. So they decided to take us to a private hospital so that they could get treated.
And at that time, actually we had a guest waiting for us at home, and my mom is waiting, my sister. So they don't know that any of this has happened. And we had our documents, passports, everything, our passes. Please, the people of Kericho, oh my God.
I know. We're still looking for the guy who gave us a ride to the hospital. I don't know.
The people of Kericho, these were angels from heaven. We did not lose anything. We had all our documents kept safe by strangers. and they took us all the way to the hospital. We were attended to, but unfortunately they found out that she had suffered multiple injuries that they couldn't even treat because she had broken her pelvis in 3 different sections.
Actually, for both anterior and posterior, both the front side and the back side, and then the coccyx, like the tailbone, which was affecting my spinal cord. So that's why I wasn't able to walk. Yeah.
She had to be taken for multiple X-rays, and the worst part in that all chaos, we had to be separated. The kids were in one area, I was taken to another. Because they had to evaluate my back, they had to evaluate my waist also for, my neck was actually twisted, so they had a neck brace and all that. And now, like at that moment, I wasn't even thinking that I was hurt. All I'm worried about is my family. Where are my kids? Where is my wife? How is she doing? I was scared, I was screaming.
He was crying the second time actually I saw him cry. The first time is when he lost dad. He cried that day. It was that
boy.
News. The second time I saw him cry, it was that day that we got the accident.
I did not care how bad I was
crying, like,
hurting.
Yeah.
I didn't care how bad I was hurt. All I wanted to know is my wife okay? Because at least I had seen the kids, and the kids were just crying because they were scared, of course, but they were doing okay. Now I was super worried about her. I could not give the doctors who were attending to me an easy time until they calmed me down and promised me, like, if you let us take quick check on you and make sure that nothing is seriously hurt on your side, we can wheel you to your wife and you can be there. And actually that's what they did. Even the room they admitted us, they put us in the next rooms next door, so that she can be close to me. And later on, after doing all the X-rays, that's when they told me, your wife is badly hurt, and unfortunately we are not equipped enough to be able to take care of her. What we can do is give her some pain meds, but there's not much we can do. And at that time now, my family had been contacted actually, fortunately, and you can imagine the scenario. It was not pretty. My mom was
He's actually, I'm stronger today. I'm stronger than him today.
No!
Because I usually talk about it. I usually talk about it at work, whoever I'm talking to, the people that I work with, like I usually talk about it. So I think I'm getting used to it and I'm healing. I'm actually, like, we are on the journey to healing. So he usually doesn't like talking about it at all. It's like, I almost lost you, like we almost perished in, like within a flash. You can see, like, has your life ever been turned upside down? That's how ours was. Like, it was turned upside down within a second. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
It's not an easy story to talk about. I hate to remember, because it brings a lot of bad memories, but in the midst of all that, there are good things that we ran into. We figured out things. Now we had to have a referral to a better hospital that could be able to, take care of her. We had either to go to Nairobi, Kenyatta, Kijabe, Tenwek, or Eldoret. Thank God for a relative who had heard about everything, and they said, we can refer you to Eldoret.
Yeah.
Let's make a quick phone call and make sure we have a bed for you. And the advantage going to Eldoret is there's a relative that we had never met, a cousin of mine who lives in Eldoret. Teresa, you know yourself. You are a sister I never had.
Care of us, guys.
We processed everything. The following day, we hired an ambulance that ferried us from Kericho to Eldoret, where we got admitted for the first time going to Eldoret, actually. We were received there at the Eldoret Teaching and Referral Hospital. on the private wing, and it was actually we got there in the evening, and by the time everything is done, it was like late. So they really couldn't do a lot that day. They just admitted us, and we had to wait for the doctors to review the X-rays and tell us the way forward. And looking at the injuries, actually, it's like even our doctors were scared.
Yeah, let's do part 2.
So this was the part 1 of this whole thing. We're gonna be back for part 2 to finish up. Like now, after we got to Eldoret, what was the the treatment plan and how things changed from there going forward. So stay tuned for part 2. We'll be right back.